Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's council meeting for Monday, November 9th. We'll now call the meeting to order. Councilmember Lundy, would you mind delivering the opening prayer?
Sure. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time to come together. We thank you for all that you're going to do in this meeting, Father God, and we just ask for your presence to be here with us. We thank you for your protection, your hedge of protection that you have had around us, and we just thank you for your grace and your mercy. It is in your name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. And please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Speaking of liberty and justice, I do want to just express congratulations to the President-elect and Vice President-elect, as well as all those who won their seats last week on Election Day. Obviously, it's a momentous occasion, especially for Howard Bison, like myself and Councilmember Rout, to have a bison in the White House, and we see one in the back waving at us. But at this time, we'll move forward with the approval of the council meeting minutes from October 12th. Is there a motion to approve?
I so move.
Moved by Councilmember Rout. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Lundy. Any discussion or corrections? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. So you want to do that? All right. So if I may have a friendly amendment to the agenda to go ahead and recognize our new officers and swear them in, just for the sake of safety, because we are trying to keep our numbers down here in Town Hall during these meetings. They're broadcast to our residents, but this is definitely a momentous occasion, hiring new officers, and so we'll just go ahead with that if that is okay with the council. I just want to go around the room. Councilmember Mendoza, Councilmember Lundy, is that all right with you?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Councilmember Blunt, is that okay to do the public comment after we go ahead with the swearing in? Thank you. So at this time, we'll turn it over to Chief Collington.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We're going to do it over here. Okay. Good evening, Mayor, Council, colleagues, community. As a chief, this gives me great pleasure to hire new officers to our department to bring new talent, new experience, new leadership into our organization. Since I became chief, I had the vision of reorganizing, restructuring, rebuilding our police department, public safety, to make Bladensburg a highly sought after police department to work for in Prince George's County. I want us to be the example for other municipalities' police department. In doing so, we have gone and hired a number of officers. We had 8 vacancies that we had to fill this year, and we worked diligently to get these positions filled. We didn't just put people in spots to take up the slots. We actually went and sought out some of the best officers that we could get candidates. And tonight I want to present to the community, to the mayor and council, two new officers that we brought on board. Both of them are experienced police officers, and they bring a wealth of experience. And not only just the experience, they embody the true community policing philosophy that we expect from our officers. We want to make sure that our residents are treated with the respect that they deserve. In doing so, we hired Lieutenant Kurt Gilbert, who brings 27 years of police experience. He went through all of the candidates went through a rigorous hiring process, interview panel, and Lieutenant Kurt Gilbert and Officer Draymond Pierce, they stuck out amongst the other candidates for the positions that they applied for. So without further ado, I would like to ask the mayor to come down and administer the oath of office to the candidates. I'll have Officer Jerome Pierce come up first.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. All right. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Draymond Alterique Pierce,
I, Ramon Alterique Pierce,
having been duly appointed
having been duly appointed
as a police officer,
as a police officer,
effective November 9th, 2020,
effective November 9th, 2020,
for the town of Bladensburg,
for the town of Bladensburg,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will bear true allegiance
that I will bear true allegiance
to the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the state of
the
Maryland,
state of Maryland,
and the town of Bladensburg,
and the town of Bladensburg,
that I will
that I will
support the charter and laws
support the charter and laws
of Prince George's County
of Prince George's County
and the town of Bladensburg,
and the town of Bladensburg,
and that I will obey the orders
and I will obey the orders
of the governor
of the governor
and the officers appointed over me
and the officers appointed over me
according to the rules and regulations
according to the rules and regulations
of the Bladensburg Police Department.
of the Bladensburg Police Department.
I will,
I will,
to the best of my skill,
to the best of my skill,
judgment, and ability,
judgment, and ability,
with diligence and faith,
with diligence and faith,
and without partiality
and without partiality
or prejudice,
or prejudice,
execute the office
execute the office
of police officer
of police
for
officer
the town of Bladensburg,
for
Maryland.
the town of Bladensburg, Maryland.
Congratulations. Welcome, welcome. You got, is this the 14-karat gold pen?
No, ma'am. Sign right here, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
And if I could just add while they're signing, Officer Pierce, we were fortunate to get Officer Pierce. Number one, I was just intrigued speaking with him, just to hear his passion for wanting to be a police officer here in Bladensburg. Officer Pierce is he served with the Prince George's County Police Department. He served at the federal level, and he brings a wealth of police experience to our team. And we don't call him officer, we call him family. He is our brother now. He is very good friends with another recent officer that we have, Officer Pickering. So these two served on the Prince George's County Police Department together. And when I sat down and talked to both of them, and I can just feel the passion that they're telling me what we need in our community, and what we need in our community is those that put themselves second and put the community first. And so when I heard him say that, I knew this was the guy that we need to bring onto the team. So with that, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
And welcome to the team.
Great, thank you.
Stand right there. We're gonna take some pictures.
Okay.
And next, Lieutenant Gilbert. That's all right, you can cheer. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good, good. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Kurt Ulysses Gilbert,
I, Kurt Ulysses Gilbert,
having been duly appointed
having been duly appointed
as lieutenant,
lieutenant,
effective November 9th, 2020,
effective November 9th, 2020,
for the town of Bladensburg,
for the town of Bladensburg,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will bear true allegiance
that I will bear true allegiance
to the United States of America,
to the United States of America,
the state of Maryland,
the state of Maryland,
and the town of Bladensburg.
and the town of Bladensburg,
That I will support the charter and laws
that I will support the charter and laws
of Prince George's County
of Prince George's County
and the town of Bladensburg.
and the town of Bladensburg,
And that I will obey the orders
and that I will obey the orders
of the governor
of the governor
and the officers appointed over me,
and the officers appointed over me,
according to the rules and regulations
according to the rules and regulations
of the Bladensburg Police
of the
Department.
Bladensburg Police Department.
I will,
I will,
to the best of my skill,
to the best of my skill,
judgment, and ability,
judgment, and ability,
with diligence and faith,
with diligence and faith,
and without partiality or prejudice,
and without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office
execute the office
of Lieutenant
of Lieutenant
for the town of Bladensburg, Maryland.
for the town of Bladensburg, Maryland.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And if I could just add a little on
Yes, sir.
Lieutenant Gilbert.
Yes, sir.
I just want to say Kurt is what I call him. Lieutenant Kurt Gilbert. I've known Lieutenant Gilbert for 22 years. We served together at our last job. And one thing I've always admired about Lieutenant Gilbert is his commitment and his dedication. He never hesitated to respond to last-minute requests for help. And that spoke volumes to me about him, that as I moved up in ranks, when I looked around my last organization to see who will be my right hand, my assistant, I chose, back then he was Sergeant Gilbert. And when I moved throughout the agency, I made sure I brought him with me. He was somebody that I had deep trust in. He was someone that I can call at 2 o'clock in the morning. He had his family, Nicole, his 2 daughters, and when I called for him, he would always have time for me. And that's where he would always pick up the telephone and say, you know, whatever my rank was at the time, and he would say, what you need? So even when we think back to our Black History Month event, and I wanted the color guard there, and I reached back to my old department where I served on the color guard, and I said, Kurt, I need a color guard. He said, what you need? Just like that, without hesitation or any reservation, he jumped up and he put a team together, and we came and he was here for Black History Month. Besides that, Kurt spent many years as a community-oriented police officer. He ran the cops unit. There's Captain Jackson back there, being disruptive. Lieutenant Silvers, you may have to escort that unruly person out. But Lieutenant Gilbert is one that ran when you meet him, I told the guys before he got here, I said, once this guy get here, you guys are gonna love him. You're gonna love him. He has that personality, and he personifies that leadership that we need here in the town of Bladensburg. And just that senior, because if you look at our department now, about 70% of 5 years or less police experience. So we need to bring that experience back in. And once again, when Lieutenant told me he was retiring from the last job, I said, hey, you ever thought about Bladensburg? And he said, yeah, man, I've been thinking about it. And he didn't even tell me when he applied. I was going through our applications in Indeed, and I saw his application, so it was there. So again, I just want to welcome Lieutenant Gilbert to our family. I know he is going to do great things. He will be taking over our Criminal Investigations Division, and happy to have him aboard. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, yes.
And if I may add, I noticed his wife, who's a phenomenal social worker. I work with her hand in hand.
What?
And so I am very, very pleased that he will be overseeing our community action team, because he has a social worker that lives in his home. Thank you so much.
And as I know, we want to give an opportunity for each of you to take a photo with your team as well as your family. But as you all are coming up to the front for a photo, on behalf of the council, and they can jump in as well, but I sincerely want to welcome you to a world-class police department that we are trying to build here. We know there's issues across this nation regarding people of color and law enforcement. We're not blind to that. And so we're asking you to help be a part of the solution here so that we can make sure in Bladensburg we don't have the issues that we're seeing across the nation. So we are welcoming you to the team. Whatever you need, please let us know. Don't hesitate to reach out. We're trying to build this world-class organization together. So we're in it with you. It's not a us versus y'all. It's family. It's about all of us collaborating together. So again, family, come on up and get a photo, please.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the cat.
this way.
Thanks, Tom.
Can we get the man council? Man council.
You wanna come in?
You want to go right here?
Right here?
Yeah, and then I can run in.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
You and your family.
Yes, welcome to the team.
Change the team, are they good? We done?
I think they're done.
Okay.
Congrats, y'all.
Yes, congratulations again.
Thanks, family, friends.
Chief, you got cake next time? We got cake today?
No, we already did.
You got anything?
Too funny. So at this time, we'll turn it over to Acting Town Administrator Tonelli for public comments.
Yes, give me 1 second. Since we are doing the meeting virtual, well, not virtual, virtual for the residents, we ask that for public comment period, I don't have the public comment statement in front of me, but we ask that comments be submitted prior to the council meeting, sent to myself, and so far we have 3 comments, and while I read them, I'm just going to go online and make sure we didn't get an additional one. But our first one is a message from Renee Green, who is, as you know, led the initiative with Save the Peace Cross. Good afternoon, Mayor James and Council. I hope you're all doing well, and I will see you on Wednesday. Veterans Day is this Wednesday, November the 11th. We'll have the Veterans Day ceremony at the Peace Cross at 11 o'clock. Masks must be worn. If it rains, we'll have the ceremony in Town Hall. This past Saturday, the Greenbelt American Legion Post number 136 had a motorcycle rally to the Peace Cross as a fundraiser for the restoration of the Peace Cross. Restoration of the Peace Cross Committee will be having fundraising events, and please visit savethepeacecross.com for updates on the events. Restoration will cost approximately $1 million, and they have already raised $320,000 towards the goal. Just great. I mean, a third of the way there. Our next comment is from Susan McCutcheon, 5404 Spring Road in Bladensburg. Good evening, Mayor, Council, and Bladensburg residents. The Superconducting Magnetic Levitation SC Maglev Train Project's draft environmental impact statement will be released in January 2021. Delegate Julian Ivey will present legislation to stop the maglev later this month. I urge the Mayor and Council to include the survey that they were sent that contains a link to the legislation in the Bladensburg e-newsletter so residents can weigh in. There are some reasons we oppose the SC maglev. I'm just going to shorten that to maglev. This is not a mass transit for Prince George's County, nor would it alleviate the local commuter traffic situation and take vehicles off the road as touted. There are issues such as physical and accessibility of the train for residents, meaning that bypasses Prince George's County, and the prohibitive cost to ride it as a regular commuter option. Throughout this process, there's been a lack of transparency about how construction costs and ridership are calculated, and substantiation of the project's claims as being a major source of ongoing, good-paying jobs that benefit the residents of the county. Also extremely urgent to consider are the numerous issues of social equity and environmental justice for our communities along the Northeast Corridor as planned. Our modest and low-income communities seem to be regarded by transit project developers as places where anything obtrusive can be built without the same careful regard as would be given to more general upscale communities that clearly would not allow destructive incursions in their neighborhoods. Many federal agencies and national assets are located along the proposed routes, and we supply workforce for those entities and maintain these assets. It is important to retain our carefully nurtured natural spaces and reserves a dwindling resource along the corridor, not only for the use of local, statewide, national, and international researchers, but for the health and welfare of our thriving, multiracial, multicultural communities. Of major practical importance is economic viability, considering the enormous costs that will eventually accrue to the taxpayers and the inevitable cost overruns during the construction and low anticipated ridership, creating a situation where the private entity would be unable to offset those costs, even with partial funding from out of the country, I think through Japan. While the SC Maglev project is not a designated P3, it would function similarly when faced with these challenges. More suitable or alternative transit solutions must be found through discussion and coordination among state and county project developers, elected officials, and the public at the earliest development stages before such projects can be considered upfront in a transparent process. Again, that's from Susan McCutcheon. I'm reading these the best I can. When our residents come up and read these, they're passionate about these issues and everything. But I mean, we know them, and we can hear these through the email sent to the mayor and council. But we want to read these into the record. The next one is from Steve Weiss, from address, Sean?
5407 Tilden.
Thank you. 5407 Tilden Road in Bladensburg. We appreciate all the town staff, Bladensburg Police, and town council members did to meet with the town resident flood victims. Stormwater drain, I'm gonna start a clock on this one to see if I can get through it all. I'm sorry. Sean, you start for me? I get this one through as much as I can.
3 seconds, sorry.
All right. So, sorry, Steve, you're important. We just have a lot to get through on the agenda. We appreciate all that town staff, Bladensburg Police, and town council members did to meet with town resident flood victims, stormwater drain officials, emergency pumping station managers to address the flood damage problems. The video of the meeting with emergency pumping station managers was very interesting. It would be good if they could share a video tour of the pumping station with our schools and post a video on our town Facebook site for town residents to see it. Please address the following questions. It looks like the stormwater, number one, it looks like the stormwater drains are cleared out. Is there a plan and timetable for the stormwater drain crew to repair the broken cement and brick walls in the stormwater drains? This is at the 5404 Taussig Road, has walls that are falling apart and looks like the walls may collapse. There are old tree trunks and many overgrown weeds growing in the culverts that need to be cut and removed because of the breaking of the cement and brick walls. And he did attach photos as well for the mayor and council. Number two, what financial aid and assistance is available to help the flood victims? Some residents are having trouble getting rid of mold in the walls. Does FEMA or other county or state departments have assistance or info on removing mold for these residents? Number three, at the September 12th town meeting, they mentioned the community action team. What is the community action team? Is Officer Brown the community relations police officer for Ward 1? Question mark. Number four, has State Highway cleaned out the clogged street gutter drain on 48th Street at the corner of Quincy Place. The street gutter drain has been flooding the street and sidewalk every time it rains. It would help to either close the street or put up temporary street flooded signs and warn vehicles and pedestrians of flooded and icy streets. Also, the temporary steel plate cover on the sidewalk is out of place, and the street drain has not been repaired for many years. And he attached pictures of this as well. Number 5 out of 6, and I'll get through them. This year, Public Works extended the leaf vacuum service into January, which will help a great deal to remove many leaves in their neighborhoods. Please continue to remind residents by town news, emails, and the town cable TV channels to remind residents not to put leaves in the street and sidewalks. Leaves in the street and sidewalks clog up the street gutter and drains, and leaves are hazardous to pedestrians and vehicles. Also, please ask town residents to report clogged street gutter drains to town hall so they can be cleared out. The portable town sign could help get the word out to residents by posting the leaf vacuum schedule, etc. at the town park. And last point, I understand town staff is trying to update our town website. I'm asking the town staff and town council to look into using the town meeting video system that Cheverly Town website and Prince George's County uses. You can bring up any town meeting video during the past year to watch a town meeting video that has the town meeting agenda on the same page. Prince George's County also uses the meeting video system for their live Zoom meetings. The main town residents do not have cable TV, but they have internet, so they could watch a live town meetings and older town meetings on the new internet town video file. And he attached pictures. Thank you, Steve Weiss. I got through it all. And we only have 3 comments, and they were submitted, I believe, to mayor and council as well, and they'll be part of the record.
Great, thank you so much for reading the public comments, and thank you for the residents watching at home who took time to submit them, as well as Ms. Renee Green, who heads up our patriotic team. At this time, we'll move back into the community updates. So first, we have the emergency residential grant program. I still need the acronym, Mr. Tonelli.
I know, I'm working on that. Reach, oh, no.
Bladensburg Emergency.
Yeah. We talked about this at the work session in length, and we also had a special work session on November the 5th regarding this. And this is a program designed to aid and assist our town residents impacted by a catastrophic and severe event. And it's all for them assistance. And we started out this grant process. We went into detail with this at the work session, and also had this on the agenda for financial business for the dollar amount of the grant, the aggregate dollar amount of the grant. What we're trying to achieve here is a simplified process to offer assistance to our residents up to $1,000 on matching basis, meaning that the town matches dollar for dollar up to $1,000 for qualified expenses such as repairs due to a catastrophic event, appliance replacements that were damaged, mold remediation, cleanup, removal of fallen trees, anything that would impact the health and safety of the homeowners. And also for insurance deductibles as well, dollar for dollar as well, up to $1,000. Meaning that if you had a $1,200 repair, you submit to the town, the homeowner chips in $600. Well, it's on a reimbursement basis. So the homeowner would have to make the $1,200 repair and then apply back to the town for 50% of that, $600, just as an example, up to $1,000. And it's only extended out to homeowners. Homeowners of single-family residents, they have to be, the applicant has to be the same as, which is on the tax record through State Department of Assessments and Taxation. The property has to be current on their property taxes, meaning they cannot owe property taxes. They cannot be delinquent or in arrears. It has to be in general compliance with code enforcement. And the aggregate dollar amount we have is $10,000 right now, which is up for discussion. It's just a starting point. And this money would come from our current budget. The mayor and council budget would be, we would reduce the community events line item by $10,000 and create a new line item. Well, not a new line item, we'll put this in the town grants line item category. We would increase that $10,000 and reduce the community events line item by $10,000 because of COVID. We're not doing the large community outdoor gatherings anymore. So we're still doing events. We're doing them on a smaller scale. We're doing them, the census events were funded through the census grant though, but this is where the funding would come from. And we also added that it would be done once every, and a person can only apply once every 3 years. Once the grant funds are administered, promised out, that's it for the fiscal year. We discussed in the work session and the last work session about having a ranking system, which we may have to do internally. And it's a statement of need grant, and it's, the town has 15 days to respond to an applicant. And once an applicant is awarded, or if an applicant is awarded the grant, they have 90 days to submit for reimbursement. I think I got all of that there. That was all from memory, but and the grant will be on the website. When the website is back up and going again, we're still switching servers. It was a PDF fillable form, and it will be that again. And that can be emailed back to town or mailed or dropped off.
And I also recall once the application is final, it will also be translated into Spanish so it can be shared in English and Spanish for residents. That was one thing from last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's in the minutes.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
I think Councilmember Rout may have made that recommendation.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Yes. Yeah.
So just
yeah.
want to make sure we don't forget that. But do want to open it up for comments and hone in on the annual amount for this fiscal year. Some of us are of the mindset that 10,000 will be depleted pretty quickly, and that 20,000 would be more appropriate. I was looking at the current expenses. This is through October 31st, and under community events, it looks like the mayor and council have only spent $1,699. So we have a little over 28,000 in that line item. So would recommend a motion pulling the $20,000 from that particular line item. But again, I want to get input from the council. Councilmember Rout.
Thank you, Mayor James. I am in favor of the Residential Emergency Repair Grant Program application because a lot of homeowners were affected by the September 10th flood that reside in Ward 1. I have responded in collaboration with Mayor James, Code Enforcement, our police department, acting town administrator, the county, MEMA. We have exhausted all resources as it relates to supporting individuals affected by the flood. It is really, really devastating. We tapped into the Red Cross for support. They were able to house the individuals temporarily. And just, there are still residents that are senior citizens that are living in mold with severe problems related to their health that they cannot afford to remediate their homes. They have already spent thousands and thousands of dollars. I've seen the receipts. Our residents do need help. Then we also had a tragic incident where we had an accident, another accident in Ward 1 where there was a whole building of individuals that were affected. And so half of the building is back online. But those residents that do have insurance, some of them are homeowners, they are going to need some assistance. And so I am in favor of increasing the dollar amount to $20,000. I am not in favor of $20,000 coming out the mayor and council budget. I think that if the mayor and council can do half, I think that the other budgets we can look at the other budgets, because we are offsetting a lot of cost with the grant program from the CARES Act, and we can do a deep dive and look at some of where we can cut corners as it relates to not all of the money should be taken from mayor and council. So I would like to make a motion that I move that this residential emergency repair grant program application, the dollar amount is increased to $20,000.
Thank you. So that is the motion from Councilmember Rout. Any other discussion before we go into the vote? All right, hearing none. So you made the formal motion, Councilmember Rout. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Lundy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call.
I can add real quick.
Oh, sure.
About your point. I can come back with a emergency budget amendment next month, and I plan on trying to find other areas, because that way we'll have 5 months under our belt of finances, and we'll see the trends where if we're underspent in some areas, we go ahead and move that at the same time. So 10,000 would come from the mayor and council budget, but you know, I echo your concern, because we also have Black History Month coming up, and it's going to be a virtual event. I mean, we have some large events here that, you know, we're still hoping that we can do them. I mean, our Christmas Yule log. Thank you. It just escaped me there for a second. So that's why, you know, I want to find some other areas as well. I mean, for $10,000, it'll come from 1 to 3 areas, I could say, but I'll bring that back to the mayor and council.
Great, thank you for that.
So the motion is to make it 20?
To approve the program and provide funding in the amount of $20,000 for the fiscal year, the current fiscal year.
We don't know where the other cents are coming from.
Correct. Mr. Tonelli will look at the budget and determine where to pull the other 10K. As he said, we have experienced some savings across a few areas, so it won't be difficult to identify the $10,000. Yes, sir. Now I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. And sincerely, on behalf of the residents who will be able to get a little bit of relief, I sincerely appreciate the support of my colleagues in doing this, as well as the staff. As Councilmember Rout said, you can't imagine the challenges, particularly for our older population who are already living on fixed incomes, who have medical expenses on a monthly basis, and this just kind of threw them for a loop. So thank you all again. At this time, I'm excited about this one. I'm going to turn it over to Councilmember Blunt about recognition of volunteers at Emerson House, Parkview, and Newton Green.
Can you hear me, sir?
We got that whole screen as well, so they see names.
Oh, okay. I've been working with the seniors at Newton Green, Parkview, and Emerson House, helping me with the COVID, well, I call it the COVID-19 food relief, which when the food comes, we need someone to help distribute the food. We have seniors in there who's taking their time, whether they're sick or not, and they're making sure that these residents receive boxes of food. I have the names up on the board. It'll go, I guess, on the bulletin of the residents who helped at Parkview, Newton Green, and Emerson House. And I wanted to say thank you so much, because it's volunteers like you that makes a difference in someone's life every day. So again, thank you, and thank you for helping someone else in need. That's it. Oh, I'm sorry. On November 20th, I will be, which they don't know yet, but I guess they might know now. But November 20th, I will be honoring them with a certificate. Thank you, Vito. I'm sorry, Mr. Tennant.
Oh, yeah.
And thank you so much for helping me with this. I really appreciate you for that. And I'll be seeing them on November 20th, honoring them and saying thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
And it goes, and just talking to the council member, it goes beyond just the food relief. I mean, they also assist with what I call, well-being checks. I mean, they get them the information, the flyers, I think the reports for the, everything.
Yes.
And it's just distributed all, to all the residents there. That's a lot of residents, so it's, and I was amazed at how much they do, and especially during COVID and everything. And they're still doing that when people want to be locked in, locked down. I mean, the volunteers are still there providing the service, which is great. I mean, we get the food distribution here, and we have a drop-off point there. And once it goes there, we know it's in good hands. It's getting to the residents in need. So we're going to have some certificates printed up and everything. And
Yes, I have some pens and I like a little keychain.
Because they're volunteers and recognize them.
So I'll make sure, yeah.
If we want to add a little gift to it, can we just leave it here for you at Town Hall, or just coordinate and get it? If we just want to add a card or something,
Sure.
Okay.
I'll pick it up from Vito.
Okay.
And it's on November the 20th. I don't have a time yet. I was going to talk with the manager because I don't think I can come into the buildings.
Right.
So I'm going to have them to come in the lobby.
Okay.
Or even meet out front.
Okay.
On November the 20th.
That's nice.
Great. Thank you, Councilmember Blunt, for doing that. I know they will appreciate it.
That's the fun stuff.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And another fun event coming up is recognition of our veterans, those who are still alive and have sacrificed their time just serving this country and protecting the freedoms that we enjoy every day. So in the public comments from Ms. Green, she mentioned it already. Just a reminder, the Veterans Day ceremony will be held on 11/11 at 11 a.m. at the Peace Cross, weather pending. Anything else, Mr. Tonelli, to add to that?
The way the weather looks right now, I'm thinking it's going to be here at Town
Really?
Hall, because they're calling for a lot of rain. Yeah.
So
and
we will need to talk just to make
Yeah.
it clear that we have to restrict the numbers. You remember,
We're gonna meet
you may not
tomorrow about
remember,
this. Yeah.
but 2 Memorial Days ago,
Mm-hmm.
we had the rain and it was packed in here. We just can't, for the safety of those trying to
we're going to meet
attend.
tomorrow. I think we're going to make a call
Okay.
about it and work with our partners and put something out in the e-blast as well.
Gotcha.
Because we'll know a better forecast. But right now, it's not looking very favorable right now. But that's the flyer up on screen right now. So, and a lot of governments are closed, the financial institutions are closed. I mean, just because they're closed, I mean, there's Veterans Day ceremonies at every Legion or VFW. Encourage people to, if you're not in the area, to attend this one. Please try to attend one at your local post.
And just another option, we do have larger space at our friendly fire department upstairs, so that could be an option too if you talk to the chief. Just putting it out there.
We'll
More
have to have
social
Jennifer
distancing
Margie.
would be possible. But next up, we have the Thursday grab and go meals at Town Hall. I can start it off and throw it over to you, but we finally got information yesterday from Mr. Paz at Capital Area Food Bank that they will resume our deliveries each week. The caveat is they can no longer do Fridays. So Thursday is our option at 11. They anticipate delivery around 9. So at least if they're running late, there's still some room in there before residents start receiving the items. I did inquire about the produce and dairy. At this time, he's saying it is only produce, not the dairy and the meat as they thought we would have in phase 4. So that is disappointing because just knowing how this pandemic has been stretching on, we still have quite a few families who that would be beneficial to have the eggs and cheese and other items in those packages. But nonetheless, we're grateful. They did up our distribution from 500 to 889 boxes, I think it is. So again, I'm very, very grateful for that. But now I wanted to, make my colleagues aware and the staff and the community. But given that we were under the impression that we were going to have meat and dairy, we did reach out to the school, Port Towns Elementary, just in case as a backup location with refrigeration. So I will notify them that we won't need to use their property at this time for the distribution. Anything else on that, Mr. Tonelli?
No, and it goes through, and it starts, this is the next phase of the program. It goes from now through December 17th on Thursdays. And we're still not sure what's going to happen during the Thanksgiving week because our town offices are closed. And we're already doing, I think, a meal at Mango Cafe. So
I think that's still pending. I think
well, I'm
they're
sorry.
still trying to figure that one out.
Yeah, and they're under construction.
That may or may not happen. Yes.
I forgot, but it's
Yeah.
We will update the residents about that as we find out the information. With this program, just the way it's structured and the way the funding comes down, we get the updates sometimes at last minute, and we go with them and we make it happen, and we do it very well. I mean, the food giveaways that the grab and goes we do here, I mean, it's a coordinated, structured event, and we get people in and out of here. I mean, it's like a model of, you know, perfect logistics almost. So it's
Yeah, we have quite a well-oiled machine
I
with the
commend
team.
public safety, public works, code enforcement, everybody out there.
And we have been advertising out on our message board out front of the building since right after the COVID testing.
Great, thank you. The next item that we wanted to share, and I did ask for the flyers for this, so I'll forward them to you, Mr. Tonelli, once I have them, but the annual turkey giveaway with the Shine CDC. So it is scheduled for Port Towns Elementary School on Friday the 13th, which is a weird date. Councilmember Lundy, can you please remind me of the time that they begin?
Oh, no, with the food distribution? With
Yes,
the
ma'am.
goal, that starts at 12:30.
Okay.
It's usually 12:30 to 2. But they recommend people get there early,
Okay,
because the lines start forming, like 30 minutes before, or at least an hour before.
great. And they are partnering with us to only advertise this to Bladensburg residents. So because of that, I will be in touch with the schools to see if they can notify their families. We have a lot, especially at Port Towns and Bladensburg Elementary, that live in the apartments in close proximity to those schools. So if we can just get the information to them so they know to be there, I think that would be wonderful for them. Yes. And Councilmember Blunt, I need to talk to you about that because they did mention doing the deliveries again this year, but I wanted to work with you on the quantities for the senior buildings before we communicate back. Yeah. Yeah.
We talked about it last year.
Yep. So I want to, yes, follow up because that did come up in the conversation as
Yes.
well. Thank you. And then, of course, our wonderful County Councilwoman, Jolene Ivy, has her senior Thanksgiving grab and go November 18th at Bladensburg Town Hall. And again, those are the meals prepared by Martin's Crosswind, so they can freeze them, they can portion them out, and everything I've heard from the residents from Newton Green to Parkview to Emerson House is they absolutely love that food. So again, we're grateful to have that partnership as well. And, sorry?
Now, I was going to get a few boxes for seniors in my community as well.
Great, great. And so next we move into financial business, so I'll turn it over to Mr. Tonelli.
Okay, we had at our November 5th work session, one of the items on the agenda that the mayor and council approved was a 58th Avenue construction amendment. That was an open meeting, and it's okay to do financial business there, but I'd rather bring this back up again under financial business under a regularly scheduled meeting to reaffirm or vote on this again. In summary, this was let me pull it up here 1 second. This was what we talked about. We received 178,000 roughly funding from the Community Development Block Grant to do road construction at 58th Avenue. And I'm just going to do a quick summary because we talked about this in length on Thursday. The original specs had us doing milling and replacement of the road surfaces, replacement of the concrete bus pads, removal and replacement of the concrete gutters and curbing, removal and replacement of the speed humps, removal and replacement of the handicap ramps. It sounded like a lot, so what we did, we thought we were going to be over budget. So what we did is we took out all the concrete portions and focused primarily the bid on just doing the milling and repaving curb to curb. Okay. Some of the bids came in. One of the bids came in over the projected funding amount, but the awarded bidder came in at around $108,000. So now we have room. Okay. One of the caveats in the bid is we don't have to rebid again if they give those ad alternates back in based on the Prince George's County. I'm trying to get the phrasing correct. Prince George's County approved road specifications pricing. Prince George's County put out a bid package in 2016 for pricing for these items based on square footage, linear footage, that would be acceptable amount. So municipalities would not have to rebid. They just go along with the county pricing. So our town attorney, who is very knowledgeable with these projects, these construction projects, worked with our town engineer and also the contractor to make sure that they can do the work. Of course, they can do the work, and they will do it with that proposed pricing. So we don't have to rebid it again. So the additional changes for the adults, or the additional alternatives, is $71,000. So the total project increases to $172,000 to do all the work that we originally planned on doing at 58th Avenue, scaled it down, and then putting it back in again. So we actually are a little bit under budget still, but they haven't started yet. There may be a change order here and there to raise the manholes, repair any drainage that they may find, and that's all already in the bid. But just in case, there's a little bit, not much cushion there in case they find anything else. So I'm bringing this back to Mayor and Council under financial business for reapproval for what you approved Thursday.
Great, thank you, Mr. Tonelli. And yeah, as he said, I was concerned that Thursday's meeting was titled a work session and not a council meeting, so I did email him today just asking if we could put this back on. Because yes, while we can approve it in a work session, our policy is to approve financial business as part of the actual council meeting. So thank you for walking us back through it. It is noted here, the original bid cost that the mayor and council did approve was the $107,906.50 with the new total, the new amount here. So is there a motion to approve the new bid?
I so move.
Moved by Councilmember Rout. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Blunt. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much, Mr. Tonelli, and thank you, council members. Following that, we do want to get back into the COVID-19 grant purchases. I do want to note, I know Chief Sumner and President Katz couldn't be here, and we do have a representative, Soren?
Yes, I want to introduce firefighter
Okay.
Sobieski. Chief Sumner and President Katz did give their apologies for not being able to make a meeting, but they did make sure that they're well represented here with firefighter Sobieski.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Officer Reinhardt, and thank you for coming to just observe. Over to you, Mr. Tonelli.
Well, since we have him here,
You want to let him?
if I pick up
Yeah.
the ambulance portion
Sounds good.
of
Let me,
the
where'd the
purchases.
microphone go?
Okay, at the work session, I'm sorry, I gotta take this off my talk so people can hear me at home. At the work session, we discussed the county gave us $575,000 as part of their total $15 million distribution to 27 municipalities in Prince George's County through the CARES Act funding. CARES Act funding is the coronavirus aid and It's a CARES Act funding. I can't pull it up here. But one of the things that we set aside, or we worked with our partners, was to purchase a new ambulance chassis, cabin chassis. It's a Freightliner M106 cabin chassis, I believe, which is a heavy-duty truck for the fire department to construct an emergency life-saving box on there. Help me out with the terminology, Sean. It's a
rescue box.
Yeah, it's a rescue box, and that I think is under Prince George's County. Is there like set specifications?
Yeah,
I think
under Prince George's County specifications.
Yeah. So their current ambulance is aging. They've gotten all they can out of it, I think, and it serves our town residents. It serves the community, and if we can use funding, to lift them up to serve our residents, we thought it's a great investment. Now it'll probably take at least twice this amount to build the emergency box to their specifications to serve our residents, but at least we can purchase the cabin chassis, take title, and then transfer title to the volunteer fire department. That's how it would work. The fire department got 2 quotes, and I went out and got a 3rd quote, and it's the same specs, and it was acceptable. It's the same specs, I think.
Yeah, Chief Sumner was just saying that thank you for everything that you guys done, and he was agreeing with what I came here for, just to represent him.
Okay. And the 3rd quote, I went out to a Freightliner dealer I know over in the Eastern Shore, and they had the Delaware contract for these cabin chassis for the same use, and asked them to extend that pricing across the bridge to help out Bladensburg, and the dealership and Freightliner agreed to that. So we have 3 quotes, and the lowest quote being around $78,000, which is attached, and this is going to be funded through the CARES Act, and I let the county know exactly how this purchase was going to be structured, that we are going to purchase it for the volunteer fire department and then transfer title once we purchase it over to the volunteer fire department.
Great, thank you for that update, Mr. Tonelli. Any questions from the council? All right, you want to take us through the others, the phone system and laptops for teleworking as well?
Sure, the phone system, we received 2 quotes. Again, this is funded through the CARES Act. We walked through this during the council work session. The phone system was to promote teleworking and communications in dealing with the pandemic. Our phone system is aging. Our phone system is also part of our 911 and dispatch system, and it is an old system. It's very old. And it's showing its age, and it's had some failures. And we can't have failures here with our own 911 system. And this phone system would also allow our staff to telework, because they could have virtual extensions that can be anywhere and can be accessed anywhere. So I think everybody feels it. I mean, we're going back, I think everybody can kind of see we're going back, inching closer, gearing up. The talk is there, the numbers are there, we're getting closer to going back into a lockdown potentially. So we need all the tools in the toolbox to get up and going for this. And this is what the CARES funding is for in response to this. And I have 2 quotes submitted to you. We talked about in the work session. Our recommendation is for the higher quote. And the reason for that is it's a more comprehensive service. We know they can back up the 911 system. The other vendor was not 100% sure about that. They're still working on it. This vendor knows the county's architecture of their, I want to say dark fiber system, INET, and how it works with 911, and the backup capabilities needed. And in case INET goes down, we can also go back to our old internet line. So there's always I want to say a fail-safe. Is that right, Chief? I mean, it sounds like, it's, confidence is very high with this vendor. And the good thing about this vendor is they're the ones installing it and will be servicing this. It's not going to a call center somewhere out and, you know, you're just a number. And when we're down, we got to have service. And that was a big selling point for us, especially something as important as our communication system. So staff's recommendation is to go with Bay Telephone. And I expressed this already with the county, if they would fund the first year service as well, and they would under this grant.
Great, thank you for that, Mr. Tonelli. And can you please remind me, I feel like at the last council meeting, the recommendation was also to go after a third bid, and you did reach out. You tried to.
I did reach out, and I could not find one that was backing up the 911 system. That's all inclusive, but it's all in one system. We really want to deal with one vendor, one system, instead of having another system come in, having to talk to that system. And so, and I did talk to another vendor across the bridge, started talking to them, but they're still doing analog systems. Digital in nature, but still on the pot side, still going through the copper and everything.
And so with other municipalities, and I know the situation with the bid as you just explained it, but aren't many of them still relying on the county for dispatch anyway? So their phone system works differently than what our needs are here?
Yeah, I mean, there's more of like I want to say a small business or business level enterprise system, meaning they are, you know, it's calls coming in, transferred to departments, to people. With us, I mean, we have the computer-aided dispatch system. And Chief, I'm going to take a break and pass that over to you.
Thank you, Acting Town Administrator Tonelli. Good evening, Mayor, Council, community, and colleagues. So what Mr. Tonelli is trying to describe is the importance of having a backup system, 911 system. We have to rely on the system to not fail when 911 calls come, because that is evidentiary value that we have to turn over to the state's attorney for discovery and things like that. Not in addition to that, we when our residents call in, they want to be able to get through to the police because you know, they're in the crisis, they need our assistance. So it's important that we do take the approach of going with this higher bid, because this company does a number of things on that we will need, backing up service. We don't have to wait for, you know, put in a service ticket and wait 2 weeks, because the 911 system, we are our own entity in Bladensburg. So it's important that we be self-sufficient in running our 911 system.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Chief. And I'll take questions from the council. Councilmember Rout.
Thank you, Mayor James. I am concerned that we are still at the same place we were last meeting. I am truly in favor of a telephone system. During the pandemic, there was lots of emails that were received as it relates to our calls not being answered. And so I definitely am in favor. But if we are following our own practices, is there a way that we can get a bid from one company that can subcontract to another company so that we can assure our residents that we're being fiduciary responsible? Because we're at the same place that we were last meeting. I yield back.
Thank you, Councilmember Rout. And I'm trying to remember, one of our team members mentioned that when you put out the RFP to the companies after they've come and did the survey, if they don't respond, that's considered a non-response. That's a zero bid. I feel like someone did raise that the last time around, but the recommendation was still, let's make the attempt to get this third bid. I mean, if that's the will of the council, we can do that, but just recognize that this situation with the phones going down is major, and we don't want to suffer deadly consequences to our residents while trying to get this. I feel like if we can show that we've made effort, after how many months have you been dealing with this, Mr. Tonelli?
Since March.
Yeah, at least since March or April, yes.
Mayor James, so that was my recommendation, that if it was.
I didn't want to say.
No,
Yeah.
it was, but we did not put out an RFP. We did not, we just looked for quotes, so if we did put it out an RFP, and they did respond, then we would be in line with our current practices, but we did not.
That's
We just
fair.
looked for 3 bids, and so I just want to remind the council that we are still at the same place we were at the last council meeting. I am in favor of Bay systems, because I definitely think communication is needed, especially when we're having, we are on the crux of another shutdown. I yield back.
Thank you so much. So if, I'll hear from the other council members. If that is your determination, then we will take a vote. And if that's what we decide to do, then we're going to be at a standstill until we can get a 3rd bid for however long it takes. So any feedback from the rest of the team before we take a vote?
Yeah, I don't think you better stand, so if there's another municipality, just ask them who they used, what they bid. That's it. It won't take longer, it won't take a month or a week. They can just tell you who they use. It don't have to, we know we want the bait. We want baits. We just want them to say, okay, yeah, this is what it is, that's it, that's all. It's not gonna, it shouldn't take that long.
I do believe Mr. Tonelli has done that. I don't want to say the
Okay, if
names
he
of the
did, but then that's fine.
municipalities, but it's just he reached out to the vendors, is my understanding, and they didn't respond. So, if maybe MML can give you a recommendation for another municipality that you
Yeah, if
haven't
I can
contacted.
just say something, I mean, it's, I could not put an RFP out because I didn't know all the technical specs, and none of us do. I mean, you have to have somebody that's almost like an engineer come in and get and draft up the actual specs, and have our legal counsel do an actual official RFP. We're trying to generate quotes. I mean, it's just a small staff here, so it's, I'm not gonna, go out and try to say everything we need. I mean, we have basically a statement of need. We need to upgrade the phone system, and we have this many people. We need this many extensions. We got to back up the 911 system. It goes through the call center. It's on our iNet system.
You can't use baits on specs.
No, that's
No.
no.
Because that's probably geared towards them.
Well, no, a spec is a spec, right?
Well,
if
did you
you're
write it?
saying what you want, it's, if you're saying what you want, so that's not how it is?
So,
No, I'm saying we didn't write it.
Oh.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
You
yeah,
didn't
so,
write one.
Mr. Tonelli, if you don't mind just trying to, again, maybe if you contact MML, they can provide some recommendations. And, with the conferences and things, they have vendors who come to them trying to get our business.
Okay.
So maybe going through them, you'll actually get responsive companies.
Okay.
Because honestly, I don't want to, bash the ones that you reached out to, but given COVID, people being short-staffed, or there's so much going on, I don't want to assume the worst. So if we could just try another path,
That's fine.
per the council's guidance, I think that's where we are. So,
We know we're gonna use, we just want the bid, that's it.
yes, Councilmember Rao?
Yes, so there is another option. You can do a RFI, request for information, or RFQ. And then these companies can respond to that. And then you can do a sole source. I mean, that is procurement 101. That is another option that we can take, because you don't know the specs, because you are not an engineer, because we in this room do not have the technical expertise. And we can do a RFI. They can respond with the specs. We have the specs. We can take that spec, and then we can make a decision there as well. I yield back.
And
Councilmember Lundy?
yes, that is true. And then there are templates out there. Since we are going to have legal to look at it, there are templates out there as well. So it seems like we all want a sole source procurement. But your recommendations is good. But there are templates out there, and legal can look at it as well.
Well, I gotta tell you,
Oh,
the
I'm sorry.
time frame. Yeah.
Acting Administrator Vito. Also, make sure that you document. Like you said, you reached out to whatever. Make sure you document the file in case a vendor
Okay.
comes back or something, or somebody hears about something. You want to make sure you have documentation for the people you talk to, the vendors you spoke with, and all that. That's just my
You
recommendation.
still get to choose who you want.
Yeah, I know, but
Want to use, and we're gonna go with that company. It's just for the record that you have it.
Yeah.
Yes, Chief Collington?
Mayor, if I could just add, now, I don't know, we would do whatever the council recommends, but I just want us to also be mindful that the system is deteriorating every day. When I look at the dispatchers are using their cell phones to make calls because the call is being routed for 2 and 3 minutes trying to get some assistance to help somebody.
Oh, wow.
So this, we'll do whatever you want, but COVID, the numbers are going up. We're going to be soon going backwards to maybe phase 1, teleworking, and we still have a 911 system to run that is quickly. IT comes in weekly, and they tell us every week the system is just hanging on.
Yeah, but if we go on and make that move to do something, it's you dealing with people's money. You have to do it right. It's not
No, we're going to do whatever you want, but
I know you're saying the urgency of it. So all you have to do is get that one thing. Maybe you can get it for him, and get it in 1 week and have it done.
Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate it. So we'll just need to put this back on for the December meeting.
I don't even think it has to go that long, for real. If you can just call somebody and give us back and put it on in, because I don't think. Well, all right.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the will of the council, we could call a special council meeting, but I want to clarify, it would have to be a special council meeting, not a work session, so that we follow our practice of voting on it. And I'm with that.
I don't think it's going to happen between now and the next council meeting.
Okay.
Because it takes, time to make the contact, schedule them to come in, then they have to talk with IT to see the infrastructure.
Just do what you can and just keep us informed. Yeah, I get it.
It's not a come in, drop a system in. It's it's a lot of programming.
Yeah, understood. Councilmember Rao?
Yes. Acting Town Administrator Tonelli, what is the deadline for the COVID-19 grant purchases?
December 31st.
Okay, thank you so much. Is this the appropriate time to talk about the food thing that came up in the work section? The food, under this business item, COVID-19 grant purchases?
So, we have not gotten to the laptops, but it is under grant purchases. So if there's anything additional, we can discuss it here.
Okay, so I'll yield till we talk about the laptops, but I would like to also talk about the food assistance line item.
Sure. So back to you, Mr. Tonelli, on the laptops.
Yeah, so laptops for teleworking. It purchased 16 laptops, individual units. Have a quote from our IT company, and we purchased 16 to promote teleworking capabilities for when we most likely will go back into a lockdown again. And these laptops are general, I would say most are general specs, 3 are rugged specs. And the pricing, we're getting this directly from our IT company. And the IT company, we use Dells here. They service Dells. Dells are the main ones. They're business grade, and it's the same pricing we would generally get if I purchased these outright versus they did it. The nice thing about them is they handle it all and they warranty it, and it's on them. So I tried to purchase laptops outside of that, and I had no service whatsoever. Then I had to pay IT to eventually fix them if I just got them through IT, So, so we are asking the mayor and council to approve the laptop purchases along with Microsoft Office installed under the CARES Act funding.
Thank you, Mr. Tonelli. Oh, I'm sorry.
Isn't the computers already so we already paid for them, right?
No, we haven't paid for them yet. I mean, they're still coming in. I think you said the last 3 have come in.
Yeah, they're here now. Only thing waiting on is a printer.
And you just have to keep this, you got to keep them coming in and trying to gear up and everything. So
is this a reimbursable grant?
Yes.
Yes, that was the question in the work session. It was noted that it
And
is
the
a
reimbursable
grant.
So they're not already here?
Yeah, they are here.
Okay.
They are
that
here.
was our question.
Okay. And just like what you question the work session, the reimbursable grant, you're awarded the money, they just don't fund you the money. You have to apply for it, let them know progress reports, and you get reimbursed for your expenses. You have to show your all documentation, including copies of the checks, front and back, the check is cleared, and the bank statement. And then they reimburse you 30 days out after that. So there's been a lot of questions. I mean, for some of the smaller municipalities, they're worried about spending the money up front and then waiting for reimbursement. But thankfully, we're on solid footing to do that. And again, our IT company knows our architecture, our network, the VPN into it, and we're getting into the 21st century. I mean, computer purchases, I feel like we haven't prioritized that as we should have in the last few years. And yes, yeah, and everybody feels it. I mean, the laptops I think the police had were ones that came from the what's that?
Military surplus.
Yeah, surplus laptops. So you're already getting 3-year-old machines. I mean, the one that was in my office was 7 years old, and I got every last bit of run out of it. So, so we're fortunate that CARES Act funding is funding this. So,
Yep, we are.
yeah. So I'm presenting that to Mayor and Council for approval.
Great, thank you, Mr. Tonelli. So with the items here listed under the COVID-19 grant purchases, is there a motion to approve those items?
I think you want to
Or
list them
individually?
because we're not doing the
Okay.
phone system one.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. I'm glad you stopped me, because with the phone system, there's nothing to approve at this time since we don't have that third bid. So really, we're only talking about the laptops for teleworking and then the volunteer fire department ambulance chassis. So we're okay with those. And then Councilmember Rout mentioned
point of
the
order.
food.
If we are voting on COVID-19 grant purchases, so that is what we're voting on as a whole. So
You can split the motion. Or if you,
we can't split the motion. You can't split a motion. You can? You can't split a motion.
So, Councilmember Rout, are you suggesting we hold until we have the phone system information?
I am, and there is also, in the work session, there was a little bit of confusion about the food assistance, and so we also need to talk about that as well.
So do we also have to go back and go through every other line item to vote on them as well from the spending plan, Mr. Tonelli?
I would make a motion, 2 individual motions, if Mayor and Council would like to take it up to approve the laptop purchases, and also the volunteer fire department ambulance chassis. Make 2 separate motions for approval for those. Get those off the table, and then you can worry about your other ones. So we can go forward with those and submit for reimbursement, get that ball rolling, because we have to let the dealer know so they order it.
Because I'm just wondering of the timing. Our December meeting is,
December 14th.
so if we hold,
Madam Mayor?
I'm sorry, I'm just looking it up. I'm sorry, just 1 second, please. So for a motion to be subject to use of the motion to divide the question, the parts have to be capable of standing on their own. So in this case, the laptops for teleworking can stand on its own. Looking at the breakdown, it looks like the county, Prince George's County, has already come back and approved or given preliminary approval at the amount of the bid. I'm looking at the laptops for telework, because the columns say municipal request and then county approved. So it looks like the laptops have already been given
We've been
preliminary
approved, yes, that is, yeah.
approval. In the case of the phone system, as you all said, we're going to hold on that So is there disagreement about breaking out the motion since they can each stand on their own?
Madam
Councilmember
Mayor,
Rout?
I move that we table the discussion of COVID-19 grant purchases until we have all of the evidence in relation to the phone system, the laptops for teleworking, the Bladensburg ambular chassis, in addition to the food assistance.
Is there a second to the motion? Yeah. Well, once the motion is seconded, then we'll have discussion, Ms. Blunt. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I should have come to you first.
Okay,
I'm sorry. But
I'll second it.
seconded, so I'm sorry, Councilmember Rout, seconded by Blunt. And now for the discussion.
Have the money been given for the food already? Or, oh, okay.
They've already started purchasing those items, so frankly, if we say we're not donating anything, they'll be able to just, work with it as is. As I said, and for the benefit of the public, we have partnered with Shine CDC for about 5 years now for their annual turkey giveaway. There's probably been 2 out of the 5 or 6 times that we've done it where we've actually helped to get turkeys donated. For the last few years, we haven't. And so this year, because of the CARES funding and the ability to offer food assistance to our residents, in communication with Antoinette, I can't think of her last name, their director, the conversation was had asking if they needed resources because, again, they're a nonprofit. And she said that would be amazing if you all could help. The budget that they have is $15 per family for a turkey and the sides. And so doing 500 of those for our residents would be $7,500. So it came up tonight. The council was disappointed that they were not a part of that conversation. And so that is the concern that we're discussing at this time. So again, if you all decide that you do not want to support it, it is fine. I will let them know. But please continue with the discussion. Councilmember Rout.
Madam Mayor, it is disheartening that we have had lots and lots of communication as it relates to financial matters and the entire council being included. If this was something that was offered, the council, that's a lot of money, $7,000. We could be giving out gift cards. What if a family doesn't eat turkey? We could give out a gift card in the amount of $15 to $20 so that they can go get, their own meal. There are a lot of turkeys that are being given out during the COVID-19 pandemic, and I do think it's a great gesture. But if the mayor and council operate together as a council, we should be making decisions as a council and not just one person. I yield back.
Thank you so much. And I do want to clarify, I can't speak to the many situations regarding financial matters you're referring to, but I do recognize the council is disappointed that they were not a part of the conversation. And as I said in the work session, I take responsibility for that. And working with the community, having these relationships with our partners, things like this come up, opportunities arise. It's already November. You're trying to move things forward. But I totally respect your perspective, and I appreciate you for sharing that. Are there any other comments or questions?
Well, because you're talking about an organization where I am a member of that particular church, if it's a vote or something, I know I have to, what you call it? I have to recuse or whatever you call it, excuse myself. Yeah, so my question is, what would be our next steps? Are we gonna vote on something right now?
It sounds like the will of the council is to take it off the table is what I'm hearing. Is that correct?
But we have to vote on it, correct?
No, there's no vote.
There's a motion on the floor to table.
A motion with a second. And then,
so I have to recuse myself.
But again, the event is Friday, so really the motion to table it just really means that we're not doing it, and that is fine. They've been a great partner. Saying no on this occasion is not going to ruin that relationship, so I'm fine if that's how you all feel.
I think just from what I'm hearing, we're just not clear about the conversation between whomever talked to, I guess it was yourself. We're not clear about the conversation you had and who initiated the funding. Because of course, if someone would offer me $7,000 some, that would help. that would help. But I will say for the record that Shine CDC and the Victory Shine CDC is in a separate entity. They have been a great partner with the town. So I would hate to see this not go forward, but it's the will of the council. So
Yeah, and we have to yield to that.
And this is a good demonstration of how we got to communicate, because stuff like this happens if something's so good, you know.
Yeah,
so.
and it becomes subject to a power play, which is unfortunate, but it is where we are. So with that, is there a vote to table? Is there, so the motion is to table support for the food program. It was made by Councilmember Rout, seconded by Councilmember Blunt. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, there is further discussion.
Councilmember Rout?
Yes, your comment, it's a power play, that's out of order. It's not a power play. This is we are government. And these are government, these are taxpayer dollars, and we have to be fiduciary responsible. I yield back.
Thank you so much for that additional comment, Councilmember Rout, and I do agree with the responsibility that we have. I'll now call for the vote. All in favor? I'm sorry.
Just so staff is clear, I mean, we have is there any questions with the ambulance quote or the laptops purchases?
No.
So those two are okay. I mean, I was trying to think what to bring back December.
So
I know it's going to be the phone system, but as far as your two areas, those are fine.
So with the fire department, you all are fine voting on that tonight?
No,
As I read, it can
when we
be.
bring back to December, I mean, are those areas fine? It sounds like the discussion is not around those two. I'm just trying to get
It's around the
clarification
food
for when we bring
program.
back December.
Correct. So the motion on the floor is to table the food support.
That was not the motion.
I'm sorry, could you please restate it, Ms. Rout? Councilmember Rout, excuse me.
I move that we table the COVID-19 grant purchases entirely until we have all of the information.
I'm sorry, is that correct? Because I thought after I stated that I looked it up, that the motion can be separated out as long as the items could stand on their own. That was my understanding. We were moving forward with that, voting on those two items separately, and then discussing the food. Is that not correct? I mean, tell me. That was my understanding.
I thought it was the food because Councilwoman Lundy said she couldn't vote on it because that was her part, but she could vote on everything else.
I think we can make an amendment to split the motion. That'll be a separate amendment, which would have to be seconded and we'll go up for discussion to split the amendment to approve, purchases that could stand on their own. And that would be the amended motion, which would go back to Councilmember Rout's original motion, voted on as amended.
Because I'm trying to understand, I think the issue was, help me to understand, was the issue with Councilmember Rout, is the issue because we're not clear on all of the expenditures and the monies and everything, that we want to vote separately on all of those? Because do we want to hold up all of the purchases that we're clear about, or we just want to separate them out?
That's where the motion is right now, to hold all the purchases.
No, to hold all of them. So, and the reason for holding all of them is because of. That's what I want to understand. I'm not clear about that.
There are items with the COVID-19 grant purchases that we do not have. Okay. We do not have the detailed list of who the 16 laptops will go to.
Okay.
We also do not have 3 quotes from the phone system.
Okay.
We do have the Bladensburg Volunteer Fire Department ambulance chassis, and we have lots of questions about food assistance. That is $7,000 just magically appeared on that line item. So there are lots of questions about the entire Coronavirus Relief Fund spending plan that is CARES Act funding. And so we have to answer all of those questions.
Right, that's what I wanted to get.
The fire department can stand on its own.
So the fire department, so we can make we can vote on that then. That's what I'm trying to get clarity so everybody can be clear.
Again, Councilmember Rout's, and correct me if I'm wrong, was to do it all as one and to table everything.
I will rescind my table. I will rescind it.
No, you have to.
I will.
Thank you.
I will.
Well, hold on 1 second.
So
we don't want to be doing out of this. The reason why I said that is because those 3 items, the laptops, the the quotes and the food is still an issue, but the fire department situation is good. So it seems like I'm new to all this too. It seems like what the mayor is saying is that original motion would suspend everything, including the fire, because we don't know these three is going to stop the fire department
It
too.
would just table it, but I rescinded it.
You rescinded it? Okay. So is there a new motion?
Who seconded the motion? Because the person that seconded it.
Councilmember Blunt.
Should also be in agreement. Should also have to be in agreement to rescind the motion.
So that's right. So she's not in agreement. Okay. Okay.
So it's
It
back
still
on the table
stands.
then.
So that's all of them. Okay. That's why I want to, 'cause we got to be clear about what's on the table.
Thank you, Councilmember Lundy.
My only thing is about the food, everything else is fine. But the food.
You can offer an amendment to the main motion, if just Robert's rules.
Yeah, I think at this time, the best thing is to just take a step back. If you could provide the detailed line items that we talked about in today's work
Sure.
session.
Yep.
If it makes sense and information is clear and we have to call a special council meeting, perhaps my colleagues would be open to that. You would have to check with them, but
I would recommend we do a special work session prior to the council meeting, just so we know when we go into the December council meeting that we are in general agreement, and do it separate from a work session prior to the council meeting. Meaning that, at the end of the month, if we have the information, or beginning of next month, just so in case there is additional information requested, we still have that time to bring it back to the December 14th mayor and council meeting.
right, because if we're in the December 14th meeting, additional info is requested at that time, we will not meet the grant deadline,
No.
so.
And, as we said, it's reimbursement. I mean, if you can use it, great. There's nothing, that is, there's no like, we're not, asking for Cadillacs out there. We're trying to find things that, we actually need here. So it's, and it spells out what you can use it for and I've been asked what our municipalities are using this for, so we have some sort of guidance.
Great, thank you, Mr. Tonelli. So the last item we have here is the Mango Cafe drain repairs.
Yeah, so I have this under financial business. This started out as a small project. We talked about this in the work session. The Mango Cafe is a property built in the 50s that the town acquired in the 1997. And we've had the same tenant there for 16 years. A problem with old properties, and the reason why we keep a $50,000 line item, budget line item for property maintenance and repairs is because of the age and condition of our buildings. The building suffered a collapsed sewer line, a cast iron sewer line leading from inside the building and going through the exterior wall, the parking lot, and ties into the WSSC main. Just time and deterioration has caused that line to collapse and is causing back flooding into the building. When the contractor originally, it was an emergency repair because the tenant was shut down. There's flooding issues, drainage issues. When they excavated and opened the hole up, and of course, once you do that, it's always worse, especially with old buildings, old infrastructure. Unfortunately, it's usually worse than you originally thought. So a few $1,000 repair is now up to, at the most, $14,000 repair. This is an emergency repair, and we had the same exact thing happen over here across the street at our police annex building back in 2016. Same exact thing, and that was an $18,000 repair to get us up and going. Now this one is approaching $14,000. I want to make the mayor and council aware this is an emergency and it's our property, and I would like approval to get this done. It's already happened. It's happening now. Got to get them. We're responsible for the property, but they are a good partner and they have maintained that building. They made investments in that building I don't think the town would ever make into that building. as far as like roof replacements, exterior repairs, HVAC equipment, upgrade the electrical system, upgrade interior plumbing. They spent a lot of money and has been a very good tenant. And I think the town should go ahead and pay for this expense since it is going from the building out to the street.
And again, that amount was about $14,000
Yes.
for the repair.
Yeah. It's like $13,700. They're not totally complete with the work yet, but it'll be around $14,000.
Thank you, Mr. Tonelli. Is there a motion to authorize Mr. Tonelli with paying for the Mango Cafe drain repairs in the amount approximately of $14,000? Moved by Councilmember Blunt. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Rao. Any discussion?
Yeah, I have to excuse myself from this one because of my other job with the liquor board.
No, understood. Councilmember Mendoza. Any other discussion? I'll now call for the vote. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. At this time, we have department reports, but due to the sake of time, is there anything pressing that you all want to share with the community at this time, or do you want to forego reports?
Can I just make one comment? The reason the gentleman from the fire department has to leave, and I've noticed today, we have several residents that have been out burning their leaves, which is prohibited. Just be mindful for the community residents. The town does pick up your leaves starting on the 16th if you want to bag them. But please do not burn your leaves because one, is it a danger to yourself, it's also a danger to the community.
Great, thank you for that, Officer Reinhardt. Any other pressing updates from the team? Yes.
Something that's not listed here is our website. Our current website has been down, and the reason is it was with the previous developer. They held basically the license to the website. And we are in the process of building a new website right now. It's a very good looking website. It's on a great platform. I hope to bring this back at the next council meeting, if not in January, as we're close to completion. But at the same time, we have to maintain our old website. The problem is we cannot locate the previous vendor. Multiple attempts, multiple avenues trying to attempt register letter's been sent. I mean, it's like all activity has been shut off from the previous vendor. No updated Facebook activity. No, their website has not been updated. I think I know what happened, but you know, the problem is it follows them. And when they don't, when their services go down, their company shuts down, we lost access rights to our website. With that being said, I mean, there's millions of websites out there. Everybody can say, wait, I'm in town, Bladensburg, you know, it's my website, I'm gonna put it on my server. There's a long authentication process. And it's almost like a mandatory wait time of at least 5 to 7 days. And 7 to 10 days, and we're still in that window. As it's rolled over into a server that we own, that we have the license rights to it. We couldn't even upgrade our website anymore. And it's unfortunate because the other one's almost up and going. So hopefully within the next day or two, our old website will be back up and going. So you will see all this information on there. But I apologize. It's one of those things that you just do not foresee. You just do not foresee it. And so I just want to give the mayor and council and the public an update about that.
Thank you, Mr. Tonelli, for that update. Councilmember Lundy.
Yes, I forgot, perhaps Councilmember Rao can help me to remember. I can't remember when I worked in procurement. I know you can check Dun and Bradstreet before we, you know, award these vendors or the vendors that we're going out to. Mm-hmm. It's a system where you can check to see the record of vendors. Yeah, something, yeah, SAMs, that's what it is, yes. So I would recommend that we use that.
There's a new federal system. It's not SAM anymore.
Oh, okay.
But I can provide that to you.
Yep.
We're actually a member of that. I just paid the $400 renewal
Right.
fee for it.
That way you can go out there and see everything related to this, and also you can document the fact that if that vendor is still registered with Dun & Bradstreet, how they have, how we, how you say, how we, right, dissatisfied with their services. So other people who are trying to do business with them won't do business with them.
Dun & Bradstreet is a good tool, but not every business is on there because that's like a voluntarily reporting system. And what Dun & Bradstreet does is they try to sell their $99 monitoring scope out there to businesses I dealt with, smaller ones, they don't want to give all their financial information out there if they don't have to. They rather submit it privately to, the entities and everything. But yeah, we can go ahead and check them. And we would check like SDAT, and we can also check even court cases.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So we wouldn't,
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you,
That's a
Councilmember
good idea.
Lundy, for those suggestions. And good to know we have signed up already with Dun and Bradstreet. At this time,
No, with
I'm
Sam's.
sorry, Sam, sorry,
Yeah.
Sam's,
Which is now,
a new name under the,
is it still Sam's registration? Okay.
gotcha, gotcha. At this time, we'll move into mayor and council reports, or do you all want to forego due to the sake of time? I see, yeah, Councilmember Lundy. Sure.
So I have my written report. It would be uploaded to the website. So I do want to let the residents know who are listening about the Bladensburg Green Team and the Bladensburg Pastoral Lay Council that we're interested in, restarting that Pastoral Lay Council and also to reinvigorate the Green Team. So if you're interested in any of those, either one of those teams or both of those teams, please contact me. You can call the town office and leave your name and your contact information, and then I will get back to you, because I'm thinking about and wanting to have a virtual meeting, like an interest meeting, so we can move forward on doing some great things which relates to Green Team and it relates to the Pastoral Lake Council here in Bladensburg. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Councilmember Lundy. Councilmember Mendoza?
No, forgo.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Rout?
Yes. I'm elated that Americans all over the United States of America voted to elect Joseph Biden Jr. and Kamala Harris as our next president and vice president. I'm so proud that Vice President-elect Kamala Harris crashed through one of the highest American glass ceilings, becoming the first woman elected Vice President of the United States of America. As an African-American woman who graduated from Howard University, a historically black college university, and a member of a Pan-Hellenic Council sorority, I thank Shirley Chisholm for serving as the first black congresswoman in America so that Kamala Harris can serve as our vice president. I also want to thank our unsung heroes that advocated so that this day could come.
Yep.
Thank you to Rosa Parks for sitting in front of the bus so that young Ruby Bridges can walk to the school and receive a desegregated public education so that black girls can aspire to walk into spaces such as the White House and be the next vice president or president of the United States. Over the next few months, our country, our state, our county, our town will have the opportunity to heal. This past election brought out a host of anger and emotions that plagued our relationships, our places of work, our social media platforms. I want to remind all members of the Bladensburg Town Council that we must adhere to collegiately being professional and remaining vigilant of our tone when we speak, the words that come from our lips as we advocate, and we must adhere to the basics of humanity to include respect and dignity as we serve the businesses and residents of the town of Bladensburg. I will not accept anything less than professionalism from colleagues and town staff. Respect and professionalism includes responding to email correspondence within 24 hours and the next business day, and respectfully agreeing to disagree. It is my hope that we bond together to ensure the town of Bladensburg is the best place to live, work, and play. In closing, I would like to invite the residents of Ward 1 to a resident listening session. You may access the link for this listening section. It will be on a Zoom platform. It will be December 15th, 2020 at 7 p.m. I would love to listen to the concerns of Ward 1 residents and collaborate through the development of short and long-term action items to improve our community. That link can be found in my report. In closing, as the coronavirus numbers in the DMV continuously grow, we must continue to socially distance ourselves, wash our hands for at least 20 seconds, wear masks both indoors and outdoors, especially when we're around others, and remain kind to one another during this unprecedented time. Bladensburg, we are resilient, and we will come out of these unprecedented times a safer, stronger community.
Amen.
I yield back.
Thank you, Councilmember Rout, and then I'll keep my remarks brief as well, just for the sake of time, but given where we are, as Councilmember Rout alluded to, last Tuesday was a very strong statement from residents all across this nation. And I really hope, as you said, that we can heal and move forward, because you and I volunteered together at the polls, and we saw some really...
I was there with you.
Oh, that's right, you were there too. Some really negative behavior that our residents deserve better. They do not deserve some of the things that we experienced while we were there. And so I do hope we can move forward. One other thing to note, as you all recall, the Supreme Court did rule in favor of the Trump administration last month, so that did severely cut short our census efforts, but I can't end the meeting without thanking our Bladensburg census team. That includes the folks in this room, from Councilmember Rout, Blunt, Lundy, but also staff, Chief, your officers supported, Officer Reinhardt, you and your staff supported us, Councilmember Mendoza. Thank you all. Thank you to the residents who really sacrificed their time to help us, whether it was with the events or earlier on, prior to COVID, with all the meetings that we had here, planning activities. And I do also want to just thank the residents for taking the time to complete their census, because we talked about the CDBG funding for 58th Avenue. Your response is tied directly into those formulas and calculations to determine how much money comes back to the town of Bladensburg for much needed infrastructure repairs. As Councilmember Lundy said, our reports will be posted on the website, but I did want to just take time to acknowledge the election, but also to thank our census volunteers as well. When you check my report, you'll also see information about utility support. I believe it's November 14th that the moratorium has been extended to for Maryland residents by Governor Hogan. And so we acknowledge families are still struggling and need assistance with their utility support. So please check in there for that information. And with that, that concludes my report. Looking through the agenda, we have no unfinished business. There's no new business to discuss. At this time, is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilmember Mendoza. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Rout. All in favor, let it be known by the saying of aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. Good night, everyone.
Good night.